worry about rolling keys and signing zones and sending data to my parent zone, then it could be really easy. And it will make the internet a whole lot safer. So are there tools available? Well, at the moment, tools are in the making. Some tools are available, but you need to really know what you're doing if you're going to deploy DNSSEC at this point in time. The good news is that many people are working on good tooling. We as SurfNet support a project which is called Open DNSSEC. Please have a look at it later. I'm plugging it here. Which is actually an open source DNSSEC signer, which should make it really easy for you to sign your zones. There are commercial appliances available from Secure64 and Accelerants. There are other open source projects like ZoneKey tool, which makes it really easy to sign your zone. And actually, Bert Hubert from PowerDNS announced yesterday that he's working on PowerDNSSEC, which he thinks should be a turnkey solution to deploy DNSSEC. Because, I mean, if your product is easy to use, which I've been told PowerDNS is, then PowerDNSSEC should be easy too. Now, for resolvers, the picture is a whole lot better. Actually, most resolvers that are around today, at least the most widely used ones, are actually capable of doing DNSSEC validation. For instance, there is Unbound from Nelnet Labs and Bind9, which out of the box support DNSSEC validation, and they can work with these interim repositories like ITAR and DLV. And actually, Microsoft has announced that they're going to include DNSSEC in their upcoming 2008 Release 2 and Server 7. They haven't really specified what they're going to do with DNSSEC, just that they're going to do something with DNSSEC. So let's hope it's not something that breaks stuff. Now, another question that you could ask is, are there really no alternatives? Is DNSSEC the only thing we can do to mitigate these attacks? Well, we could always keep patching our software, and we could always keep introducing new ways to counter these attacks, like we've done by introducing port randomization and by introducing query ID randomization. That could help us, but that's an arms race. We're fighting against people who have a known attack that works. And remember, the 6 weeks attack that Bert talked about yesterday, I have all the time in the world. So if I make it harder by adding an extra bit of entropy to my UDP package, well, maybe it will take me 30 weeks. I don't care. I want to spoof the answer to a major bank, or I want to be able to fool people in thinking that Microsoft stock is actually going up if I query the New York Stock Exchange site. We could use SSL or TLS. Well, as Dan Kaminsky showed yesterday, do you really want to use SSL? And DNS is a really lightweight protocol. Now, DNSSEC makes it a bit heavier, but using SSL would make it really heavy. So that's not really a solution. Now, there is TSIG and SIG0, which you can use at the moment to secure transactions between name servers. Now, could you use that? No, that doesn't scale, because you need to share secrets between all the servers. So every resolver would need to share secrets with all the authorities that are out there, so that wouldn't work. Now, Dan Bernstein, who some of you will probably know from DJB, DNS, and QMail, has come up with his own solution called DNS Curve. And actually, I talked to him recently, and what he came up with has a lot of merit, and it's got a lot of really good ideas in there. But there's no wide-scale deployment. It hasn't been around long enough, and actually, if I want to download it, it's not available yet. It's just a concept. He's programming it as we speak, but hey, DNSSEC has been available for a long time. It's available now. Why not use it? And actually, he said to me that even though he's not a big fan of DNSSEC, he said, well, it's the only solution available, and it makes the internet safer. Why not roll it out? And finally, something is available that's called DNSSEC OX20, which says, well, hey, DNS is case insensitive. Why not use capital letters in some of the queries, which would add extra bits of randomness to a query as long as the authoritative copies the capitalized letters in the response that he sends back. So I create an extra secret between the resolver and the authoritative server. But is that really something we want to do? Because it works with almost all name servers, but not all of them. So with the ones it doesn't work with, we break a relationship. We break something that is basic infrastructure of the internet. And Does it really protect the root zone where we have really short answers like com and net? Does it really help if we capitalize the C of com? That introduces about 1 extra bit. That doesn't really help us, does it? So what I've tried to tell you today is, what does DNSSEC do for you? Well, you can go out to the world and prove that you actually own a domain and that the answers that you are giving are authentic. And if I get an answer from you, I can actually check that the answer you've given me is authentic. So I'm really talking to my bank, or I'm really talking to my insurance company, or whatever. I'm really talking to my university. So with DNSSEC, you can effectively protect yourself. So just a few more slides about what we have done. SurfNet is an innovation organization, and we actually, when something new is around, we have to play with it and try it. So what we've done is we've made all our resolvers DNSSEC validating. And we are, well, one of the first large organizations in the Netherlands who have done this. And what we see is that actually some of the answers that we get validate. I'm sure it's probably hard to read, but what it says on the left is that at the time that I took this snapshot, from the 350 queries per second that I was doing at that time, about 1.5 of those I was able to validate. And actually at the peak, I was doing some 500 queries a second, and about 5 of those I was able to validate. So that's 1%. That may not sound much, but that's more than the IPv6 traffic on the internet at the moment. So we're doing something. So what are we going to do? Well, we operate a managed DNS service for our institutions. And what would be more convenient than we make it possible for them to tick a box, enable DNSSEC on my zone. And actually their zone becomes signed. We're going to test appliances as they appear on the market, and we're going to tell our institutions about that, and that's something that you can do as well. And we're supporting OpenDNSSEC, which we hope will become a success, and will make using DNSSEC for you a lot easier. But what is more important is what you can do. The problem with DNSSEC, as I said, it's really hard. You are the people that know how to do this. You're the people that know cryptography. You're the people that know DNS. You're the people that know internet security. So please gather some knowledge on DNSSEC and be the person in your organization who actually prevents stupid people from deploying it and breaking your zone, and actually do it right. We've written a paper about this which explains the technical details of DNSSEC in little. There are some paper copies here in front of the room. But you can download it from the URL that you see here as well. You could update or reconfigure your resolvers to actually start doing validations. And it will really help if we get some data on what is actually happening on the internet. Are more people signing? So do I get more validated answers? And actually, if I start validating, does that break my DNS infrastructure? These are things that need to be deployed in real life to see if it actually keeps on working in a real-life situation. And finally, you could make DNSSEC a purchasing requirement. Now, as Bert already explained yesterday, notorious problems are home DSL routers. They break lots of stuff about DNS. And I'm quite sure there's been some research from Nominet, the UK registry, that they break quite a bit of DNSSEC as well. So if you introduce new stuff, these really simple devices which have been made for the lowest cost are going to break. So have a look at those as well. And finally, I really want to encourage you to work on an open source project. Please either cooperate with Bert on Power DNSSEC and help him there, or go to